The Philadelphia Phillies stay in the win column and continue to play good baseball. They won 4-2 in Game 2 of this three-game series down in Miami against the Marlins on Saturday. They already won this series with taking these first two games Friday and Saturday. Series finale here on Sunday afternoon. Trying to go for this three-game sweep. If not, just another series win heading into this huge four-game home series against the New York Mets, which has huge implications for the NL East title. We'll see what happens, but first, series finale here on Sunday to wrap up this three-game series. Maybe a sweep against the Marlins. Taijuan Walker on the mound for the start before that Mets series coming up. Welcome to Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Jesus Luzardo, the hometown kid, was on the mound for the Phillies on Saturday. Luzardo grew up in South Florida, spent most of his life there. In fact, he pitched for the Marlins from 2021 to 2024 before he was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies right before the 2025 season during this past offseason. Last time Luzardo did come home to pitch against the Marlins, he did do it once. He pitched against the Marlins. This was his third time this year with the Phillies pitching against his former team, the Marlins. Second time pitching in Miami, back in his hometown, his home state, his home city, against the team he used to play for. Now, his first time doing that was back on June 17th. Not a great start there for his first time back in Miami as a new member, or as a member of the Phillies. He went 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 4 walks, 4 earned runs, and only had 4 strikeouts, and picked up the loss in that start on June 17th against the Marlins in Miami. Much better Saturday in that 4-2 victory with the Phillies. He went 6 strong innings, allowed 5 hits. He did have 4 walks. Got to lower that number. Can't be allowing that many free passes, but didn't really come back to hurt him too much. They obviously won that ball game 4-2. He allowed just 2 earned runs, and he struck out 8 batters in those 6 innings and picked up the victory over the Marlins. So much better than his previous time on June 17th. And honestly, Jesus Luzardo has been pitching very, very good as of late. Really going back to his start on July 29th, he pitched 7 scoreless innings in that start, and he's really been dominant ever since, which is great to see because we all know he was a National League Cy Young candidate through the early parts of 2025. Hit a little bit of a wall there, I believe, at the end of May. Had a lot of inconsistency, a lot of bad starts, some good starts as well for a little while of a stretch there. But since July 29th, very good out of Jesus Luzardo. Hopefully he keeps building on that and continues to pitch well down the line here to wrap up the regular season here in the final month of September and right into the postseason. It remains to be seen how the Phillies' playoff starting rotation will look like. But if Jesus Luzardo keeps pitching well, he could be a guy that they rely on heavily there in the postseason, whether it's in the starting rotation or in the bullpen. We'll see, but just great stuff out of Luzardo in that win over the Marlins on Saturday. In relief of Luzardo, the bullpen, we all know, hasn't been great here in 2025. A little bit better as of late with when Jhoan Duran was brought in from the Minnesota Twins at the trade deadline. Made some guys have more concrete roles there with Duran as pretty much the full-time closer. And then obviously you have Strahm, Kirkring, David Robertson even. A couple of those guys, Alvarado right now in the regular season, all setting him up for situations to hopefully get a save when the Phillies are on top. They did just that in relief of Jesus Luzardo in that win on Saturday. They pitched 3 scoreless innings in relief of him. Robertson pitched first in the 7th, and then Matt Strahm in the 8th, and then Jhoan Duran in the 9th to close it out. They allowed just 1 base runner between those 3 relievers in relief of Luzardo. Robertson allowed a single back in the 7th inning, and that was it for the Phillies relievers in those 3 innings after Luzardo was pulled from the game. They had 3 strikeouts combined in those 3 innings, 2 by Matt Strahm in the 8th inning, and then 1, which was actually the game-ending out for the Phillies to pick up that save. He struck out the last batter to win that game, pick up his save, and Duran has been very good as of late for the Phillies. He's thrown 5 perfect appearances, 5 perfect innings in his last 5 appearances with the Phillies, after that walk-off against the Mets a few weeks ago. Been very dominant since that outing where it was a non-safe situation. They were trying to send it into extra innings, and then he just allowed 4 straight base runners. Obviously, the run scored, and the Mets won that ball game. But 5 perfect innings out of Duran since then, including 4 saves in those 5 innings and 6 strikeouts. He's now 11 for 12 in save situations for the Phillies since he was acquired back at the trade deadline from the Twins. He also has a 1.89 ERA here in 2025, including a 1.42 ERA with the Phillies. So great stuff out of him. Hopefully, he puts those little bit of struggles he had there for a few games in the rearview mirror, and he's just dominant for the rest of the season and heading into 2026. Now, the Phillies also got that win not only because of the pitching by Luzardo and the bullpen, but because they took an early lead with their offense, starting with the superstar, the face of the team, face of the franchise, the showman, Bryce Harper. Started that ballgame in the first inning with a 2-run bomb to take an early 2-0 lead. And then really, the Phillies never looked back. They had the lead there in the first inning, kept that lead all game long, won that ballgame 4-2. Bryce Harper got it started, and then Harrison Bader, who's been red hot since joining the Phillies as well, in a separate trade with the Twins back there. And at the trade deadline, Harrison Bader has been incredible for the Phillies at the plate and defensively. He hit an RBI single in the 4th inning. Bryson Stott drove him in with a sacrifice fly as well in the 4th inning. Phillies took a 4-0 lead there in the 4th inning. And again, that's all they needed there because obviously the Marlins only scored 2 runs off of Luzardo and in the entire game. Phillies won it 4-2. The Marlins did score both of their runs in the 4th inning. So after that, there was no more runs the rest of the game between the two teams. But the Phillies got the job done early at the plate. All they needed with that dominant pitching by Luzardo and the 3 innings by David Robertson, Matt Strahm, and Joan Duran to close out that ballgame. Pick up Game 2 victory over the Marlins. Already win that series heading into Sunday's series finale here with Taijuan Walker on the mound, trying to go for a sweep of their NL East rivals before this huge 4-game Mets series coming up. Speaking of Harrison Bader and now how well he's been since the Phillies acquired him at the trade deadline, he has been very, very good offensively, defensively, just overall for the Phillies. And Harrison Bader obviously had that RBI single in the 4th inning, but the outfield overall as of late, Rob Thompson's made some changes with Nick Castellanos, the veteran, struggling really since the start of July at the plate. He's cooled off after he was batting .282 after through June, and then he's batting about .200 since then, since the start of July. Very, very cold streak by Nick Castellanos. He needs to pick it up. He's been really out of the lineup a lot as of late. They've been going with Max Kepler, the other veteran who has been swinging the bat way better as of late compared to much of this 2025. He has been a failed experiment overall through most of the season, but got to give him some credit. Max Kepler has turned things up a notch really since August. He was batting like .275 in August, and so far in September through these early parts, these first couple of games, he's getting the job done as well here. So that's great to see for him and the Phillies offense heading into the final stretch of the season and heading into October. Max Kepler went 1 for 4 in the 4-2 victory over the Marlins on Saturday. Bader, RBI single in the 4th. Brandon Marsh, red hot for the Phillies. He was 2 for 4 with 2 doubles in that win on Saturday against the Marlins. He's been red hot just like Harrison Bader. We all know he struggled early on in the season. Hitless month of April, 0 for 29 in the month of April. But really since then, Brandon Marsh has been one of the Phillies' best and most consistent hitters, especially right now, one of the hottest hitters in the lineup. So this new look outfield has been working for Rob Thompson and the Phillies, with Marsh and Bader pretty much playing every day, keeping their bats in the lineup, and now Max Kepler in this little platoon situation and getting a lot more playing time in right field with Nick Castellanos struggling. Now we all definitely want to see Nick Castellanos get back to where he was earlier in the season, back to what we've seen from him throughout these past couple of years since joining the Phillies and really his whole major league career, known as an offensive kind of guy. He was an all-star for the Phillies a couple of years ago. Again, had a very solid season for much of the season through June, as I said, this year in 2025 with the Phillies. Just unfortunate stuff for him right now. He's got to get through it. And the Phillies, the outfield right now is looking really good. Hopefully Castellanos can regain what he's done in the past and get right back into it and join this success that the Phillies outfield overall is enjoying right now. And thank you guys for watching this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Now, I did realize I wasn't really clicking through these, these titles, these headlines here, but I apologize for that. We'll get better on that for tomorrow. But Taijuan Walker on the mound going for this series sweep here of the Marlins. Hopefully they can get that done. If not, they still won the series heading back home to Citizens Bank Park in honestly the biggest series of 2025 of the season against their division rival New York Mets, who the Phillies hold about a 6-game lead over right now. So big series here. The Phillies can put them away with a series win. Hopefully they can at least split it 2-2. If anything, they can't lose another series, and they definitely can't get swept again by the Mets. But still, we have this game to finish up with the Marlins. Before getting into that, stay tuned for all that. Hopefully we're talking about wins. Again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Phils.